Chapter 2 Rider on a Black Horse. The air was cold and bright. Brr, it feels like winter, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack, shivering. He could see his breath in the frosty air. We're wearing Roman clothes. Too bad they're not warmer. Jack and Annie both wore wool capes with tunics and boots. Instead of a backpack, Jack had a leather pouch attached to a belt. Annie had a belt and pouch too. Hey, I'm dressed like a boy, she said. This should be fun. They looked out the window. Snow covered the ground. Sunlight sparkled on a frozen river. That must be the Danube, said Jack. An eagle cried out. Annie leaned out the window and looked to the right. Our eagle, she said, and that must be our Roman camp. Jack leaned out the window too. He saw the eagle gliding toward a cluster of buildings surrounded by a high wooden fence. Oh man, it looks like my model, said Jack. Yep, and it's dusted with snow, just like in Morgan's rhyme, said Annie. Let's go. Jack and Annie put their tablets and pens in their leather pouches. Jack dropped the coin into his pouch too. Then they climbed down the rope ladder. The sunlight on the snow was blindly bright, but the air was bitter cold. Jack pulled his cape closer. The thick wool was warm and scratchy. Before we go any farther, maybe we should write something in our journals, he said. Good idea, said Annie. They pulled out their writing tools. Watch, said Jack. He pressed the pointed reed into the wax and wrote a W. Got it, said Annie, but we should write small so we can fit everything in it. Jack wrote winter. Then he looked at Annie, writing her own notes. What are you writing? He asked. Rider on a black horse, she said. Where? Jack said, looking around. Against the sun, said Annie. Jack shielded his eyes and looked at the bright horizon. A rider on a black horse was trotting over the frozen ground between the river and the camp. He wore a helmet and a red cape. Oh no, thought Jack. Should we climb back into the treehouse? Hi! Annie waved. The rider raised his hand in greeting. He trotted over to them. His face was mostly hidden by his helmet. Hail, children! Are you lost? He asked. Jack was relieved. The man's voice was friendly. Not lost, said Annie. Actually, we want to visit that army camp. Have you family there? Asked the warrior. No, we just want to learn more about the Roman Legion, said Jack. We're keeping journals, said Annie. She held up her tablet and stylus. Indeed, said the man. You are the first children I've met who keep journals. We plan to write what we see and what we feel, said Annie. Ah, young visiting scholars, said the rider. Have you questions for me? Yeah, said Jack. Why is the army camped here? Legion Gemina 14 is camped on the Danube to protect Rome's northern border, said the rider, to keep invaders from crossing the river. Who are the invaders? Asked Annie. Anyone who wants to take away our freedom, said the rider, and destroy the Roman way of life. Do you know how we can get inside the camp? Said Jack. Give the guard the password of the day, the rider said. Mars the Victor. Like Mars the planet? Asked Annie. No, like Mars the Roman god of war, Jack said. Oh, who's the Roman god of peace? Asked Annie. Pax is the goddess of peace, said the rider. His horse pawed the ground. Pax, I like it, said Annie. Tell the guard you plan to report on the Legion's hard work, said the rider. Say you are visiting scholars under the command of the Imperial Guard. Visiting scholars under the command of the Imperial Guard, Jack repeated slowly. Got it. That sounds really official, he thought. The rider squinted at the rising sun. I must return to my station now, he said. Farewell, friends. The rider turned his horse and galloped toward the camp. Jack and Annie watched him pass through the gateway. Let's go, said Jack, and they started walking toward the gate. He was nice, said Annie. Do you think he was an important officer in the Legion? No way, said Jack. He was just an ordinary army guy. He didn't have a plume on his helmet, and he didn't wear any armor covered with medals, like a centurion. But I'm glad he wasn't a centurion. Why, what's a centurion? Asked Annie. Super strict commanders, said Jack. They carry big sticks to whack their own men. That's mean, said Annie. They should learn to use their words instead. Jack laughed. Try telling that to a centurion. As they drew close to the camp, a guard stepped out of the gatehouse. He wore full battle armor. He carried a spear and a red shield. Hail, said Annie. Word of the day, the guard said in a deep voice. Mars the victor, Annie answered. Jack cleared his throat and called out, We are visiting scholars under the command of the Imperial Guard. We have come to write about the camp, said Annie. She held up her tablet and stylus. We plan to spread the word about the Legion's hard work. The watchman lowered his spear. Welcome to Legion Gemina 14, he said, in the reign of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Thank you, said Annie. She and Jack walked proudly past the guard. They passed through the gateway and entered the Roman camp.